Okay, welcome to the talk Breaking Barriers, the Art of Free Gamified Security Training. I would like to start by a question. Who believes that software security should start from developers? Raise your hands. Thank you. So a lot of you believe that. And in a scale of 1 to 10, how satisfied do you feel with the trainings that you know of in achieving that vision? If you are satisfied, raise your hands. Don't be afraid, you are welcome to raise your hand. And if you are dissatisfied, raise your hands. If you feel that something should change. I see a lot of energy in the room, especially when it comes to express satisfaction on the trainings that they exist right now and that you know of. Please come in. In the same line, what you expressed just now aligns with the developer community that we surveyed to find out what they feel about that. And we get some comments like simulated environments or in general environments that are not dev environments are not good for that. The trainings are video-based and full of theory. There are a lot of trainings that have multiple choice questions, while in the real world, someone doesn't have a finite number of options, and it's very likely to introduce new vulnerabilities while trying to fix others. There's an identified need for training personalization based on the programming languages in use, frameworks, or the skills of a current development team, and they find them also boring. I'm gonna demo the game I developed at the end. Until that time, I'm gonna walk you through a startup that is based in Canada, and they are focused on property technology. Think about them like an integrator of different systems that they try to gain a lot of market globally based on their centralized technology they offer for authentication and authorization in buildings. So this startup find the game we developed because they were following us as they were using GitHub Advanced Security. GitHub Advanced Security, this slide is gonna serve later, has CodeQL, which is our SAST solution. It picks up issues in code when you push code. Secret scanning, it pushes issues locally so they are not shared online, and dependable for your supply chain for vulnerable dependencies. And here we see the dashboard of that company when they started to use GAS. We are in the beginning of their journey before any gamified security training. So what we see here, we see alerts, open security alerts across time. These alerts can include secrets, security vulnerabilities, vulnerable dependencies, and they can have a severity. When they started using and understanding where they are, they had 180 open security issues, including secrets, vulnerabilities, and dependencies. After 3 months, their security team mainly managed to reduce them by 80, but as you see the surface area of orange and reds, which are highs and criticals, remain. They improved a lot in yellows, which are mediums, and the lows that are the blues, mainly through automation from dependable and secret scanning. This moves them away from their vision though. The security vision, in the words of their Chief Information Security Officer, is that they want to empower their developers to be as autonomous and resourceful as the security team, to be a force multiplier for the startup. And in fact, from March until August, in these 5 months, they reduced it a lot. However, the security team was again behind this reduction because these issues were of high-end critical nature, complex, strategic. They needed office hours. And now you hear office hours and you think, okay, just 30 minutes every now and then. Well, it wasn't the case. So office hours were the elephant in the room, okay? Imagine a small security team in a startup that tries to get global market, and this meeting started 30 minutes, 1 week later 60 minutes, 1 week later an hour, and before they realized it, every Friday that was originally scheduled, they were spending 2+ hours on the meeting itself and 4+ in the whole operations they had every week towards vulnerabilities. This made them, according to the CISO, both unproductive and it was risky for the company. It was risky because you have to defend on all fronts. It's not good enough if you just defend and you put so much effort, time, and money in this aspect here, code security. You need to get it right as a security team every single time, while the attacker needs to succeed once. So this imbalance is risky for the business and it moves them away from the vision. Remember, we are in a startup environment, they grow a lot. As the business expands, the attack surface expands, they have more supply chain coming in, then the human factor increases because they hire more people, and of course, as the code increases, it's proven that they have more vulnerabilities. We arrived at a crossroad here. They can keep up what they have been doing with no guarantees of how the future will look, if they will have more vulnerabilities, if they remain steady, because they will still need to spend more and more time as the database, as the code base grows, and so on. Or they could innovate. And here is where they discovered the game we developed. They used it, and they let us know afterwards by thanking us through an email. We didn't know anything until late. They organized in Canada the first of its kind secure code game hackathon by matching up senior devs with middle or junior devs in teams of 2 by bringing every single developer they had in the company together. But what is the secure code game? After I listened to all these comments I showed you in the beginning about trainings not being in repo, trainings not being able to be personalized, being boring, and so on, I took up this challenge personally, and I developed this game as part of my team initiative that I will explain at the end what we do. We had around 3,000 players in the first 6 months with stellar feedback. And let's see now how someone can get started. What I wanted to do was to simplify this. So by just clicking on this button here, someone can clone the repo. They can be themselves the owner. They can give it a name. The video you see is in real time. This is as much time as it takes. It's less than a moment. I put it as a public repo because you can use GitHub Advanced Security for free if your project is public. And then you are going to have a fresh installation. You can click here. Then you can open a code space. Again, what you see is in real time. A code space is a virtual machine inside a browser so that you don't need to install anything locally. You don't have to put dependencies on your laptop and keep them up to date. Once this is done, this takes an extra 1.5 minutes. You will arrive in a code editor at your browser. So the secure code game had 1 season at the time of the hackathon. Now it has 2 seasons because we released the new one 2 weeks ago. And every single level in a season, first season has 5 levels, second season has another 5 levels, is of increasing difficulty. But level 1, season 2 is as easy as is season 1, level 1. You have the same file structure. For example, you have code file that includes vulnerable but functional code. Let's have a look. This code is vulnerable, but it's functional. Then you are given some unit tests so that when you spot the issue and you fix it, the functional test should still pass. Then you are given a hack file that in the beginning it fails, showing that you failed to pass the hack test. And you can progress to the next level once both the hack test is passing, therefore you pass the hack test, and the unit tests are still passing. We have a contribution guideline because we have a community that contributed 4 out of 5 levels of the second season. And this is fantastic because you see collaboration between security and developers, people who were mainly working in the security of their company and wanted to give employees some common mistakes they were doing in the exact same way that the startup has used it. And finally, as I told you, I chose to go with a public repo because you can click on the security tab and you can see some alerts in case you are stuck using CodeQL for free if our hint is not enough. And at the end, you can read our model solution, but of course, there are more solutions possible. The solutions have explanations with references and so on. Let's see what they believed after they took this training. The CISO said that the engineers had fun. This was the #1 thing in his email. It wasn't another boring training for them. This company didn't see the results of using video-based trainings and so on, so they decided to do something different. They noticed an increased sense of ownership and willingness to learn. But this is qualitative. What about quantitative? Well, the 4+ hours per week that they were spending in security became less than 15 minutes bi-weekly. In his email, he said 10 to 15 minutes bi-weekly. This is sustainable, and there are no alert spikes too present. Then there is an ongoing training that it helps with onboarding new engineers. They try to have another solution, not just ours, that is showing how they used to do it before, wrongly, by introducing tech debt, which is something negative. So this company started with 180 open security alerts. They reduced them down to 7 by combining GAS and secure code game in 6 months. This is 96% improvement. And they went from 4 hours to less than 15 minutes bi-weekly, which is 97%. I just want to mention here that the principles where we base the game is first open source. Someone can fork, customize it, like that company includes its own levels. It's developer first because developers are in the environment they excel, the code editor. It's of course hands-on because everything you do is by coding. Spotting the problem is not enough. You have to fix it successfully, which is a different story. In my career, I've seen a lot of security vulnerabilities being introduced when someone tries to fix an issue. You can try out code scanning for free. GitHub Copilot, if you have a license. In my LinkedIn that we can connect at the end, I have a talk I gave in GitHub Universe in San Francisco, California, where I showed ways to use AI for security, and you can use every way I showed using the game as your playground. Finally, Code Spaces, you can open it in a minute, and you have 60 hours for free every month included in your GitHub account. You can be an enterprise client. You still have 60 hours for free every month. And finally, we believe that we attacked every single comment we see. Of course, we are trying to improve every day. This was me. My passion is to make security easy for developers. And I do this through talks like this, through the game, through video content I create for developers. And I'm coming from the GitHub Security Lab, which is a team of security experts that we try to secure the open source software we all depend on. We found more than 1,000 security issues in the open source software in the past 4 years, 500 plus of which have been given security identifiers, also known as CVEs. This is where you can follow us at GH Security Lab on Twitter. And I'm here for you if you want to discuss anything after the talk. So thanks so much for attending today. I know we are at the end of the conference, so you might be tired, but thanks for your energy. Thanks for all.